We have a new tropical depression out there that is forecast to be near major hurricane strength when it slams into the United States in a couple of days. I'm Mike Naso with this noon video update on this Thursday, tracking our tropical Atlantic, and you can see out there we have a couple of features. The first and most serious is our new tropical depression right here to the west of Jamaica, forecast, as I said, to be a powerful, dangerous hurricane on the North Gulf Coast. We have two invest areas, one to the east of Bermuda and one out here in the central Atlantic, both expected to remain out at sea if they do develop at all, but the main focus is going to be on our new tropical depression out here in the western Caribbean. Here's the latest as of 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Tropical Depression 9 from the National Hurricane Center in Miami. It was at 16.9 north, 79.2 west. And remember, as it's still in its formative stages, it might be getting its bearings, so you might see this adjust around. However, 1,005 millibars, 35 mile per hour winds. It's moving northwest at 13. It's being steered by the clockwise high pressure to the north of it, and that should continue over the next few days, taking it northwest over the Cayman Islands and over Cuba. Because of that, we do have a tropical storm warning for the Cayman Islands and the Cuban provinces of Manzanas, Havana, Pinar del Rio, and the Isle of Youth there in western Cuba. After that, we're likely to see watches and warnings go up for the Gulf Coast because it should be a hurricane by Saturday and then a very dangerous hurricane, maybe even a major hurricane, which would be a Category 2, turning into a Category 3 and above by the time Sunday rolls around, making landfall maybe Sunday night or Monday here, somewhere between Houston and Gulfport. Anywhere along that North Gulf Coast needs to be currently overlooking your hurricane plans, where you might go if evacuations are ordered, and what you might need to do in the event that this system makes its way towards you. Here's the satellite imagery there. This is an infrared image, but you can see a lot of heavy rainfall over Jamaica, and it looks rather ragged, but remember, it's still in the formative stages. It's still a little flat here, starting to fan out a little as the wind shear decreases. It's getting that little safe harbor over the top of it. I'll show you that in a minute, and that should allow it to strengthen, and that's going to be a big, big problem for the Gulf. The computer models are in pretty good agreement northwest, and then rounding the ridge of high pressure straight up into the coastline of the Gulf Coast. It looks like Louisiana at this point, but again, if you're in Texas or Mississippi, you guys don't want to take your eyes off this system yet. Even if you're further to the east in areas of Alabama and the Panhandle, it's going to be too severe a hurricane, it looks like, to not watch every move that it makes. Nevertheless, it does look like if you're in the mid to eastern areas of Louisiana, including cities like New Iberia, Lafayette, Lake Charles, Houma, New Orleans, you guys are in the path, squarely in the path, of what is expected to be at least a borderline Category 2 or 3 hurricane, if not stronger than that. You can see here's the European ensembles. They take it a little further west. Some take it towards Texas, Sabine Pass, Cameron, Louisiana, the Laura-ravaged areas from a year ago. Others take it more towards the mid-Louisiana coast. Then you have the GFS models, which are more in southeast Louisiana and the mid-Louisiana coast, and even stronger than the European. So the writing seems to be on the wall right now for Louisiana, but because it's still in its formative stages, everybody needs to be on the alert. Here's the HWRF computer model, and you can see what it does with it. It takes our system right on up over western Cuba and then into the Gulf, and look at this, a Category 4 hurricane, boom, right there into areas of New Iberia, Marsh Island, Intercoastal City, a very disastrous major hurricane landfall to the east slightly of where Laura made landfall. Remember, Laura hit Cameron, Louisiana, which is closer here to Holly Beach, Cameron, areas there near Lake Charles. This is more near Lafayette if the HWRF model panned out. Then we have the HMON model. Look what it does. On the 29th of August, the anniversary of Hurricane Katrina, just as a little note of trivia there, it has it right over same areas, southeast Louisiana, Plaquemines Parish, New Orleans here. It would definitely be a severe impact to Mississippi. Don't forget about them. Remember, they're on the right side of any hurricane making landfall in southeast Louisiana. So, the bottom line is, with this type of track forecast, everybody needs to be on the alert, but you guys in mid and southeast Louisiana and the middle Louisiana coast especially, I want you guys to be talking about it with your family and friends about where you would go if local officials order those evacuations and if you need to get out of Dodge, and we'll wait and see what those local officials do there in Louisiana. The sea surface temperatures, no problem whatsoever. Look at this map. Look at here on the map. 81, 83, 85, 87, 89, all the way to the Gulf Coast. Very, very hot water. And this is all fuel, high-octane fuel for our system moving on over the Gulf, especially as it organizes an inner core, which will make strengthening more likely. Here's the wind shear. Look at this little anticyclone it's getting. That's favorable. This is a little safe harbor of wind shear, and you can see that troughiness here is breaking down a little bit to the north, that wind shear we had yesterday that I showed you, and it's going to continue to have a favorable environment as it pulls towards western Cuba. So between that and those water temperatures, all systems seem go right now. If it gets a name, which it probably will later tonight, we've had Anna, Bill, Claudette, Danny, Elsa, Fred, Grace, and Henri. Ida. It looks like this would be Ida, and it would be a bad hurricane in hurricane history if these computer models pan out. As far as the intensity, like I said, right now the Hurricane Center's thinking a borderline Category 2 or 3. You're getting up there towards extensive damage. If it goes any higher than that, it would be a major hurricane, and we'd be looking at much, much worse damage, okay? So I want everybody to know that we could have a very serious landfall here. Here's the visible satellite imagery. You can clearly see the system starting to fan out there on the western side. This upper level low is retrograding west. This might actually be helping to break down the high pressure, and so instead of seeing the system take a track like that, like we were thinking yesterday, that's why we're now seeing the Louisiana coast or even southeast Louisiana become more of a factor as the high pressure kind of slides off to the east and this storm rounds the high. We could see a landfall more in Louisiana than Texas. But again, Texas, don't let your guard down yet. Look at the next week of rainfall. This thing is going to drench the Gulf Coast. You could tell just from looking at this National Weather Service graphic that we are going to have a significant tropical cyclone landfall along the Gulf Coast, and that is going to make rain and flooding a big, big problem. The key messages as of 11 a.m. with Tropical Depression 9, and this will change as time goes on. Number 1, tropical storm conditions likely in portions of the Caymans tonight and western Cuba Friday night. Dangerous surge possible in western Cuba and the Isle of Youth, where you have that onshore flow on the right side of the storm. Number 2, the system is expected to produce life-threatening heavy rains, flash flooding, and mudslides across Jamaica. I showed you that in the satellite, heavy rain. Caymans, western Cuba, Isle of Youth, and the Yucatan. Even though it doesn't look like it'll make landfall on the Yucatan, you guys are still going to have heavy rain. Finally, for the United States, number 3, this system is forecast to approach the northern Gulf Coast at or near major hurricane intensity. That's Category 3 or higher on Sunday. Although the forecast uncertainty is larger than usual since the system is just forming. There is a risk of life-threatening storm surge, damaging hurricane-force winds, and heavy rainfall Sunday and Monday along the North Gulf Coast from the Florida Panhandle all the way to the upper Texas coast, with the greatest risk along the coastline of Louisiana. Interests in those areas should closely monitor the progress of this system and ensure they have their hurricane plan in place. Okay? So I know I set you guys up there on the Gulf Coast for quite a monster on the way if this does occur. And right now, it is getting better organized, but it's still in the early stages. We still have a couple of days to watch it, but not that many. It's the 26th. We're talking about the 29th for landfall. This isn't like something way out near Africa that we have weeks to watch come across. This is a quick event, and it could be very, very serious. Our other system here east of Bermuda looking a little bit more lively today. Again, and our wave looking a little better. Both of these could become tropical storms, but they would probably remain out at sea. I don't see any chance that they get near land, maybe not even Bermuda if this one here moves away. But again, we'll watch them. Off Africa, you can see more waves leaving. A pretty good wave left yesterday, but it kind of dissipated out a bit. The long-range European model has been showing a monster hurricane developing off Africa in the next 10 to 15 days, an indication that things are going to continue to heat up in the tropics. Looking past our system here, you can see it there in the Caribbean. We have this system in the Eastern Pacific. This is Tropical Storm Nora. And I wanted to talk about Nora because it's 40 miles an hour. It's at 12.5 north, 100.8 west. West-northwest at 7 is the motion. Is forecast to skirt the coastline and impact the Baja by Monday. And we do have a hurricane watch from Lazaro Cardenas to Cabo Corrientes in Mexico, and tropical storm watch further south. And the reason I bring this up isn't just because of the impact to Mexico, but that this could have some bearing on our storm. We were hoping that maybe if this system in the Caribbean was down here and Nora was having some outflow flowing from from west to east, it could shear our system and keep it in check in the Gulf of Mexico. However, I don't think that's going to happen. I think our system is too far to the north and moving quickly enough to where this won't have enough of an impact on wind shear. So we were grasping at straws to try and come up with a better scenario for the Gulf Coast. Right now, I don't see one. I see a strong hurricane hit on the North Gulf Coast by Sunday night, early Monday. But this is Nora. Heavy rainfall, gusty winds, and a hurricane threat to the coastline of Mexico, so we'll be watching that as well. But right now, for the Atlantic, the focus is definitely going to be on our developing depression. I'll be back with frequent updates on this YouTube channel as we continue to see it organize into a tropical storm, a hurricane, and then a very dangerous, probably major hurricane by landfall, potentially in southeast Louisiana and the North Gulf Coast. I know that was a long-winded update, but I'll talk to you guys next time with more on the tropics.